this property needed new plumbing, needed new electricity, like the whole nine. So the 203K portion of that is the construction costs. So you can roll in all of the construction costs for a distressed property under that 3.5%. And it's like a phenomenal way to get into real estate and to walk into instant equity after all of the work is completed.
Oh yeah, love that, right? We 5 minutes in, y'all already get $1 million worth of game right here. All right, we're out. There's Zena Go. Welcome to the show, Zena. How you living?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
You know, we are blessed on top of blessed today. Hey, stacking it up. Where are you calling in from today, and how's the weather?
I am in Chicago and the weather is amazing. It is really, really warm and super bright outside. So, everybody else is outside. It's a great change because it just snowed like 2 days ago.
I haven't been to Chicago, but from what I'm here, I think saying that it's nice weather and it's warm is probably rare. Is that correct?
Like, yeah, it's rare.
Gotta take advantage of that.
Right. So before you get into it, in your opinion, Zena, and I think I know what you're about to say, what is the best way for a married couple to make $1 million?
The best way for a couple to make $1 million is one, the couple needs to be aligned that they can actually have $1 million, because if you're with someone that don't think they can have $1 million, then it's just really not going to work. And the other way, which is a way that me and my embarked on our journey, was both buying properties that were worth $500,000 each.
Let's go net worth.
Right. And I love that you started with mindset.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's quick to be like, oh, just buy some real estate. But if you and your partner are on the same mindset on like what to do with your money, there's going to be that friction there. So I love what you did there. Can you talk about how you got into real estate? Right. So you said you have your partner with you. Y'all both got into it. What were those kind of early conversations like getting into that first property?
So our first property is the home that we live in after we got married. It's a single family home. We use FHA, which is 3.5% down, and we use a product called FHA 203K loan, which is, we bought a distressed property and that loan rolls into construction costs to make it livable. And so we had that property as our marital home, so our primary residence. And we paid about, I want to say 300,000 for it. It was worth 700,000, so it walked into a lot of equity.
Let's rewind that math really quickly, right? So first, you said a FHA 203K loan.
Yes.
Explain that one more time.
Absolutely. So if you want to buy a distressed property, but you want to keep your costs down when you enter into buying property, because a lot of people don't have 20% saved. So the path of least resistance for us was utilizing the FHA product, which is 3.5% down. We found a property that we loved. It was a Victorian, but it needed work because the previous owner had passed away and the property sat for a long time. So it was like a lot of water damage, just a lot of things that happened, and it got the bank repossessed it. So this property needed new plumbing, needed new electricity, like the whole nine. So the 203K portion of that is the construction costs. So you can roll in all of the construction costs for a distressed property under that 3.5%. And it's like a phenomenal way to get into real estate and to walk into instant equity after all of the work is completed.
Oh yeah, love that, right? We 5 minutes in, y'all already get $1 million worth of game right here. So you said you bought it for 300,000. You did some type of construction, and then the after, or the ARV, was 700,000. Is that correct?
the after repair, because the comparable homes in the area were around 650 to 750. So because our home, according to the comps, fell somewhere in the middle in terms of, square footage and bedrooms and things of that nature, we came in right around 700. And I just want to preface that by saying we bought our property in 2009, which was the year after the
Right.
whole like catastrophic mortgage issue. So probably before that, we probably wouldn't been able to get that house, because it would have been, it would have been priced out of our market or out of our budget. So I just took an opportunity. I was just like, there's houses on the market. We're ready to buy. Let's see what's out there. And the property was bank owned, and they was just like, yeah, let's do this. And we was like, we're happy to oblige.
Yeah, we'll run that real quick. So did you do a cash out refinance afterwards, or did you just keep that equity kind of tucked inside the house?
So we did keep the equity tucked inside the house, because at the time we had no idea about cash out refi. We
Mm.
learned about that when the pandemic started, to be honest. When everyone was sent home, I was on social media more. I know a lot of other people was on social media more. And that's where I learned about multifamilies and cash out refis and BRRRRs. I had never heard of these terms before the pandemic started. So I always say the pandemic was a blessing and a curse, because a lot of people got bans during the pandemic. Like, people made some money. And it was a global thing that affected everyone, because we never had something like this during our lifetime. But with the advent of social media, so many people came up, so many people learned more about just finance and personal financial literacy, and taking themselves to the next level, owning businesses. So it was like a really great time for our community, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Right. And I love, again, going back to your mindset, right? Because there's definitely some people out there who went through some hardships, health hardships, financial hardships, but being able to have that mindset of, how can I make the best out of this situation? Right? How can I use some of this time to be home, learn about real estate? How can I use maybe some extra equity to invest in some properties? So yeah, love how it kind of circles back to your mindset in different opportunities, right?
Yeah. I
Go
do
ahead.
want to take a step back for someone who's watching and this is their first time hearing about a cash out refinance. Maybe we can dive into a little bit. Okay, so we've kind of mapped out. It started at 300. After you did your renovation, it was at 700. What does that mean? What does your equity actually mean? And what did you what is a cash out refinance as an option?
So basically, the equity is the amount of the property and the value of the property. So the value in the marketplace was 700,000, but the price that we paid and the price of our mortgage was 300. So theoretically, around 400,000, give or take, because there's fees and all that, but around $400,000 of money that we could tap into, meaning we can refinance and take cash out against that to do something else. You want to buy more property with that. But like I said, at the time, we had no idea. I had no clue about it. I was just happy I had this beautiful house that had all this new stuff in it. And so fast forward to the pandemic, and just being on Instagram and just getting into these rabbit holes of people sharing all of this information, I told my husband, I was like, we should buy more property, and he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I've heard of BRRRR, which is, you buy property, you rehab it, you refinance it, and you rent it out. And then there was just, multifamilies, which made sense to me, because I was just like, I want to use my money for the highest and best value. Meaning, if there's a single family that needs rehab and it's 300,000, we could fix it up. We can put a tenant in there for about $2,000, or we can buy a 4-unit for that same 300,000 and have tenants in there that's all paying $1,500 a month. So to me, it just makes more sense for multifamily, because it's one roof, it's one maintenance thing, it's everything is under one roof. So that's just how my mind works. I want the best value for my money. So me and my husband, we have a business where we he handles the Burr side of the house. So he buys distressed properties. He gets in there with his contractors and he rehabs them, and then we put a tenant in there. And then my side of the house is, finding, lower valued multifamilies, doing a little bit of rehab because I don't want to have like a big project and putting tenants in there and going that method, or buying turnkeys. Like my first property was a turnkey, and what turnkey means is it's already been rehabbed. So you just walking into it with, either getting new tenants or tenants that's already there, and you're immediately cash flowing from month one. So that's where we are in our journey because we're refinancing now after all these years, and we're buying a commercial property which is $1 million. So
Let's go.
Nice. Yes.
Love it. So I do want to ask you, because I think you just posted on Instagram. I don't know if it was the commercial property. I think it was like a 10 unit or a 14 unit. I do want to have you go through kind of the process of that in a second and just say, like, maybe how do you found this property, financing. I know you're just doing the breakdown of the I think the cost analysis. So if we can kind of go through some of those things, that would be beautiful. But before that, you mentioned something that was very key. You said me and my husband have a business together. You said me and my husband are working together. I'm doing this, he's doing that. And I love that kind of y'all two coming together, each having their role, each having their strength, but building the wealth up together.
Yep.
Can you talk about what that process has been like for you? And I don't know, like, how y'all started building together, if you had to maybe, do some trial and error to figure out who's good at which thing, but you gotta talk through that process of building a business with your partner.
Absolutely. So I'm the go-getter, the risk taker in the relationship. My husband, he is the supportive person and he's the logical person. He's like my life vest when I want to jump off the side of the cliff and say, yo, he's like, hold on, let me put your life vest on before you go do that. So very supportive, the sweetest man ever. And he co-signs on my crazy. I have to say that. But he knows that I'm also very logical and I always want to put our family in the best position possible. So when I was on Instagram, these late nights scrolling and learning all of this information, I would be bursting at the seams in the morning to tell him all the things that I learned. And so I know I needed to frame it in a way that it would make sense to him as well. So, I laid out what I thought we should do, getting into BRRRRs and getting into multifamilies, because I think it's a two-pronged process that we both could leverage because both of us would be doing two separate things. And, if you watch enough HGTV, you kind of have an idea of when people buy properties, they fix it up, it's nice and stuff like that. It's not like that, though, in real life. How HGTV is like, oh, it took an hour and, here's ARV. It's a lot more involved in that, and it's a lot more time and money. But the end result is pretty much the same. You take something that is distressed and you make it beautiful and you put a tenant in there, and now you're building a passive income asset for your family and for your future generations, right? So when I approached him, I packaged it like, babe, I think that you would be great at this, because that's your wheelhouse, man.
I'll talk her into a lot of stuff, like, oh, queen, it's your superpower. I think you
superpower, that's the word right there.
Leverage your gifts if you.
My name is Sinclair, and I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner who has created a program that takes a deep dive into your hormone levels and your overall metabolic health to create a highly personalized weight loss protocol that will have you lose up to 30 pounds, gain energy, and have you feeling so good that you go into the back of the closet and pull out that freakum dress. We all have one. So if you are ready to invest in the last weight loss program you will ever need, go to queen2queencoaching.com and book a discovery call to figure out which queen to queen package is right for you. Talk to you soon.
And you know, I was a good salesman in that respect, and he was just like, yeah, that makes sense, let's do it. And so I bought my multifamily first, and then he bought 3 single families in Philly right after that. So a lot of times in relationships, you have that partner that's like, okay, I'm gonna jump out there and you come right behind me. And
Right.
that was how it was with us. So he was like, wow, you did that, you know, and COVID, and you know, you didn't let nothing stop you. And I was just like, I was ready to go. So, you know, here we are. And that was the catalyst that he needed to say, well, if my wife did it, then I certainly can do it. And I know she got my back. And, you know, if anything happens, we'll just work it out. And that's just how it's been, because a lot of it has been a lot of trial and error, a lot of courses, a lot of mentorships, because you want to couple your ambition with education. You don't want to jump out there because you can lose a lot of money. You can really get yourself in a bind. So that is my approach for everything. I need to get some education, but I'm gonna execute on that, because if I don't, then I wasted my money and I wasted time, and I'm still behind the 8 ball, you know, and I have nothing to show for all my effort in terms of money and time invested in courses. So that's my biggest encouragement to, you know, anybody that's listening or watching. Yes, get your education. Don't just jump out there on a whim, or, you know, post on Instagram like, oh my God, I bought this property for 2 cents. I rehabbed it for $100 and now it's $500,000. No, you want to do your own due diligence so that you feel comfortable enough with the education that you have so that you can go out and apply it. But, you know, that's typically how it works in our marriage. It's like, babe, I think we should do this. And he's like, okay.
And I think it's interesting that I feel like with most partnerships, most marriages, where you have two people who have different styles, different personalities, that's typically how it goes. I think, you know, who it is always varies. I think, you know, couple to couple. So yes, I think he's definitely the go-getter. He's gonna go out there first, and then I'm usually the one right behind him. Like even with our entrepreneurship journey, like he kind of started out, I was helping out, and then after a while, I was like, huh, okay, well, he's done it. The water looks okay over there. Like, okay, I think I could tiptoe my way on in.
Ain't no
and then
sharks.
right, knowing that he's got my back and that he's got his hand out, like, come on, the water's good. So yeah, I think that's definitely a dynamic that I think we see, you know, with a lot of different couples.
Yeah. And I think like growing up, I feel like you think that couples have to always 100% agree. So I think when you get into a marriage, you might be looking for someone else. Like, if I have this crazy idea, I just want you to say yes right away. Like, don't give me any friction. Don't give me a life jacket. Just let me jump and jump with me. Right. But at the end of the day, you need the person with the parachute. Right. You need the person who's willing to jump out the plane, but you also need the person with the parachute that will help you land the plane. So I think it's good to see other examples of people who, you know, have a little bit of friction, but at the end of the day, still get to that end goal of making $1 million, creating generational wealth, and just building a legacy for yourself. So congratulations to the Dixon family.
Thank you.
So if you are ready, I would love to kind of walk through this new deal that you're in the middle of trying to close, but you know, just theoretical stuff on if there's $1 million deal out there, this is how you can find it. This is how you can potentially finance it. This is the potential numbers you want to really, you know, consider looking at. Just kind of give us a high level. What do they do on Bigger Pockets? They call it a deep dive, and we're not stealing that Bigger Pockets. Much love. We love what y'all do. But we're going to do a deep dive type of situation right here with you, Zena. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So this year I said to my husband, I said, I feel like we need to go bigger. My thought process is, again, highest and best value. And I was like, if we're going to put another 500,000 out there, another 600,000 out there to buy more individual properties, meaning single families that we will burr, you know, and then rent out, or another 4-unit like I have in Chicago, let's go bigger. Because what I've noticed in the Chicago market specifically, I can't speak to any other markets, but I kept finding like 12 units, 20 units, you know, 22 units, 24 units for like 600,000. And I was just like, this is bothering me mentally because this amount of money that we can qualify for, we should switch our focus from the single families and the smaller multifamilies, which is like a 4-unit or less, to one of these bigger properties. Because again, highest and best value of our money, we can, buy it, probably negotiate it down a little bit, because typically these properties, they are distressed. The landlord may not even be in the same city. It might be a headache to them. So you want to reach out to either the realtor or the broker and, just ask some questions. Why is this on sale? What's going on with the owner? They could tell you, oh, the owner's owned this building for 30 years. He's ready to retire. Or there was a death in the family and the children don't want to be bothered with it. It's like a whole bunch of different things. But once you have that information, your wheels start to turn and you're just like, okay, so that means that this seller is motivated. So that gives me a little wiggle room in the purchase price. So, you let the seller know that you're interested, and, you do your due diligence. You make sure that the repairs won't really outweigh the benefit of buying the property. Typically, a lot of times with these properties, there's like, you got to add new kitchens and bathrooms. So you think about the overall cost that it will take to bring this property from your purchase price, adding the value, which means, adding the rehab, and then how much the value will be after you do those things. So potentially you could be looking at $1 million property after you do say $200,000 in renovations. So now you're $800,000 in. And after that, you have $200,000 in equity. So at that time, you would just say, is it worth it? 200,000, is that worth it? Can I get the purchase price down to 500,000 so I'll have more equity at the end of the project? So it's just like a lot of different variables that you would consider, that you would try to manipulate so that, it just makes sense to you financially. Mm-hmm. So my thought is, I keep coming across these properties, and I'm telling my husband, I think we should go after something like this, the bigger fish, the thing that's going to give us more passive income so that we can accelerate our retirement from corporate. Because, that's the goal. You want to be able to retire from corporate and have your passive income fund your lifestyle. So
I need you to rewind, say that part one more time for the people watching, because I feel like there's a lot of 9-to-5ers out there, right, who are like, how do I get free? Mm-hmm. How do I retire myself and not have to work for 30 years to get my 401k? So can you please, it was like a 2-sentence. You can reframe it however you want, but what was the mindset when you were going after these bigger fish?
The mindset was totally that we need to buy something that's going to give us more passive income so that we can accelerate our retirement from corporate. If you have a 20-unit building and you're cash flowing $20,000 a month, as opposed to buying another 4-unit for the same amount of money, that's only cash flowing you $1,000 or $2,000. Which one would you take? Definitely you want to go for your highest and best value, because you're going to be able to cash flow more. You're going to have just one headache, meaning if something happens with the roof, you just fix one roof. If something happens in the units, you just have your team come in and work on those units, as opposed to having disparate properties all over where your team is like everywhere trying to, mitigate issues with your different properties. And, all of the masterminds that I'm in, that's what the big fish do. They want to get the biggest property because it's one headache. If I'm going to be stressed, I'm going to be stressed about this one thing because it's going to give me the most amount of cash flow, and all my resources is just there. All my resources just have to be at that one particular place. So I talked to him about it, and I said, I've been finding these properties, and I think, babe, I think we need to go for something that's mixed use, which means apartments plus commercial. So that means like retail spaces on like the first floor, so people can rent it out for a dance studio, a tea room, a coffee shop, a daycare, a laundromat, and then you have your rentals on top. So I found a property that was about $899, And I said, babe, we got a lot of money in our single family that we could tap into the equity and we'll have our 20% down. And he was like, say less, whatever you want to do.
Nice. So two quick things. One, where did you find that property? And then you said it's 20%. Is that standard across investment properties, or is that specific for a mixed use property?
20% is standard for commercial properties. And commercial is any property that has more than 4 units. So I just want to go back a little bit. So if you wanted to buy a property with FHA and you wanted to get into your first multifamily building, you would want to leverage FHA for something that's 4 units or less. I always consult with clients. Don't get a duplex. Always go for a 3 or 4 unit because highest and best value of your money. And it helps you get in a mindset and practice of managing something bigger, because you don't want to stop at just one. You want to continue to build your portfolio. And I think that owning a 3 or 4 unit is like really great experience, because you become a landlord as well as an investor, and you're learning both parts of the puzzle. So you can do 3.5%. And the barrier to entry with FHA is really low. That's why I really, it's something that I really advocate for, because again, sometimes you can't save up 10%. Sometimes you can't save up 20%. You're just starting out and you're like, how do I do this just out the gate? So, 3.5%. The other thing that people can look at is NACA. And I'm not sure if you've heard about NACA, but NACA is a really great program as well. And they will also allow you to buy up to a 4-unit property with them. And that program is really great because they don't require down payment or closing costs, and they don't consider your credit. So those are 2 different avenues that people can go down to get their first small multifamily apartment building. But once you go over 4 units, that is now considered commercial, and commercial does require 20%. So we didn't have like 20% sitting liquid. We have it in 401k. We have the money in our home, in our primary home. So we said we would tap into that, because that's a loan against your home, and you don't pay taxes on it. That's another caveat to going into buying real estate with equity built in, because then you don't have those type of issues in terms of taking out a loan against your home. It's not taxed, so then you can just use that money for the next property. So that property that you saw on my IG, I just found it like last night, because I'm always looking for properties. And it's a 14-unit total, 10 apartments and 4 retail spaces. And I was like, wow, this is really great. And it was like less than 900,000. And I was like, oh my God. So at this point, I'm just learning how to do the underwriting, which means, determining the value and just making sure that it makes sense financially. And this is new territory for me. So I'm learning as I'm applying. But I think that, once you understand how to ascertain value for a property, and you're able to act on it, meaning bring the money in and purchase it, it can be such a windfall. Like buying in Chicago, for instance, they're doing a lot of things in Chicago. They have all these initiatives for, opportunity zones and for people to invest here, companies coming here, the Obama library, and, just all these different things that's going on. So you can capitalize on the wave of appreciation when you buy something like this, because it is underpriced, believe it or not, at 800,000. Just imagine the Obama library being 2 blocks away. It's close to some other retail things that's going up. And you're just like, not only will I get the appreciation, but I'll have a cash flowing asset that I'm getting rent from the tenants that has their businesses on the first floor. And then we have the tenants on the second floor that's paying, their rental income, for us to have the passive income. So it's a tremendous opportunity. And my thoughts are always get in first so you could have the experience and get over the fear. Because I feel like when you buy the property via FHA, it's like training wheels, so to speak, because you have the cushion of not putting out so much money, and it's just a 4 unit, so it's manageable. You can start to get your mind wrapped around it, and then you have it for a year, and you're like, okay, I want to go bigger.
There it
Always the next
is.
step.
Right, right. So start off FHA, possibly living in it, 3.5% down, get yourself a 3 unit or a 4 unit. And then once you feel comfortable, you got some experience, you talked it over with your partner, you got your life jacket on, go ahead and go for that big commercial building.
Yeah.
Can I just say how crazy it is to hear that you can get a 14 unit with 14 unit for the same price you can get a single family house in San Francisco.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wild.
It's crazy. That's really crazy.
It's really, really crazy.
I think the crazier part is people that live in California specifically, or like in expensive real estate markets. I feel like we're not taught to think I can put my money elsewhere. Right. We're not taught to think, instead of buying a single family home in Cali, let me go ahead and put the same amount of money towards getting a 14 unit and just cash flowing like crazy. So I love the mindset and just like the perspective that you're bringing to the audience here is, if you are living in one of those expensive markets, like how can you make your money? What was it? Best value. What did you say?
Best and highest value.
Best and highest value for your money. Best and highest value. That's one of the main takeaways I'm getting right here.
Yeah. And I feel like most of the time people think of it as a negative thing in terms of it being so expensive here, the higher prices, the higher home prices. But I think one good thing is that I feel like, especially growing up here as a kid, your thought process of how much money it takes to own a home is way up here. So then when you do start looking at out of state places, you're like, oh, this is attainable. I can do this, right? It just seems it can seem so unobtainable in a place like California. But when you start to look at other markets, you start to realize like, oh, I can actually do this. I just need to save a little bit. So I think that is definitely something to keep in mind for folks who are California natives and you've only looked in California. It can seem a little bit discouraging, but definitely, one, look in the inexpensive parts of California. But yeah, looking outside of California is a definitely how I think a lot of investors start, and a good way to go.
Absolutely. And even in California, the guidelines, the lending guidelines for higher residential properties is higher. So say, for example, in the Midwest, a FHA property, your the threshold for something, let's say in the Midwest, for a 4 unit is 400,000. That's the cap for FHA. You can't go over that. But in like New Jersey or the coast, New York, in California, the threshold might be 1.2 million. So I don't want people to discount, oh, I can't buy anything. You just have to see what the threshold is for your area for FHA and say, okay, if I can find something for 1.1, then they'll help me buy it. The 3.5% might be a lot more, of course, but I just want people to frame their thinking to say, let me do my research to see what's available to me, because not only do you have the FHA, which is low, you can also supplement your down payment with grants. You can go to your local bank. Hey guys, I'm trying to buy a house. What programs do you have? And you can stack all of that money, all of the down payment assistant like grants, and use that towards your down payment. And I just don't want people to lose sight of that, like, and become, feel hopeless, like, oh my God, I live in California, it's so expensive. And like you said, looking in an area that's up and coming, that people might say, oh, that's the ghetto. There is riches in the ghetto for sure. Because holistically, you're thinking, I want to make our neighborhood better. Why shouldn't our people be able to live in nice neighborhoods? Let us in, build those up, and not let it get taken away from us because we don't know any better, and provide nice places for our people to live while we build up the community. We we attract infusion of money into these communities because now people are not writing us off like, oh, that's the ghetto. And then we're also building, generational wealth for our families as well. So it's like a win-win across the board. You just have to, get over the fear and not let people influence you. Because, people will just be like, why you want to buy in a ghetto? Oh my God. And it's just like, oh, you have to change your perspective. It's us there. So let's fix it for us,
Yeah. And I think it is so tempting, especially when you're first starting out, to get that nice shiny turnkey. But I think, if you're putting on that investor's hat, that's not always maybe the smartest way to go the first time. So I think it's just, about evaluating, like, what is your goal for that property? Is it for you to live in? Is it for you to, start building wealth? I think evaluating your goal and trying to figure out what type of property is going to be best for that. But yeah, it may not always be the nice, shiny, renovation ready, turnkey spot. It may be something that needs a little bit of work in the upcoming area. But if you put in the money, you put in the time, we're seeing this even now with our condo, seeing all of and the interesting is that we totally manifested this. But seeing all of the projects going on around it, like, okay, we seeing the value come up. Okay, this works. This works.
Yep.
So you just got to be patient.
And that's the power of buying in the hoods or buying in the ghettos, because right now those hoods are opportunity zones. Right. So yes, it's maybe historically the underserved places, but we look at Inglewood, we look at South Side of Chicago, we look at all these other places across America, the quote unquote hoods are now opportunity zones to where tons of money is coming in to build that up. So like Zena said earlier, ride that appreciation wave. Right. If you see the signs of gentrification, if you see the signs of people investing in money, make sure that your community is able to tap into that as well. So appreciate the nuggets. Make sure y'all follow Zena Dixon on Instagram. It is at Zena. We'll put it up there. Boom, at Zena Dixon Inc. Make sure you give her a follow so you can learn some more information. If you're currently watching, feel free to ask any questions you have around multifamily property investing. Go ahead and drop it inside the comments. And if the question makes sense, we'll show it and have it. Some people be asking some outlandish stuff, Zena, so we'll protect you. Speaking of asking questions, we want to enter into our Ask Declare segment. This is your opportunity to ask us any questions about health, about entrepreneurship, or about our love journey together. So I will throw it over to you, Ms. Zena, for any questions you got.
I do. I love that you have a very holistic approach in terms of your health. I'm a vegan. I've been a vegan for I think 12 years now, and I became a vegan because every time I would eat, I would feel like I had a rock in my stomach, and I would tell my husband because he would go out and get the food, and we'll sit and watch TV. And it could be White Castle, it could be Italian cheeseburger, and I would tear that thing up, and then I would be like, oh my God, I'm having the worst pain. I feel like I have a boulder in my stomach. And he was like, that's it. I'm not buying it for you again, ever again. But then, when we sit and watching TV again, he'll go out and get it again because, it's what I asked for. But I was just like, I feel like if I don't pay attention to this, it's going to turn into something way bigger, like, stomach cancer or something like that. And so immediately the next day I became a vegan. So, of course, the eating family was like, what is going on? But I just when you guys reached out to me initially, and I went on your page and everything, I was just like, oh, they're into health and into wellness, and I really love that. It aligns with my personal goals and ambitions for just living a more holistic and just increasing my health and the health of my family because they all became vegan as well. And I just wanted to know, how did you guys embark your journeys of just embracing health and wellness and really prioritizing it in your lives?
Repeat it one more time for me.
I just wanted to know, how did you embark on just embracing more health and wellness into your lives?
So we started out 2016-ish. Really just realizing that was the year we both graduated. And we were pretty committed to each other at that point in terms of like, all right, like we sticking with each other. Like we got engaged the next year, right?
We got engaged in 2000. Yes.
No, because I get married in
18.
2019, so engaged in 2017.
2017.
Yeah, so we got married, we got engaged the next year, but we had pretty much already known, like, all right, we rocking together, we doing this thing called life. And so we had started having those conversations on like, what do we want to be important to us when we start our family? Like, what family values do we want to be important to us? And health came up, you know, for both of us because we kind of took a look around at our families and said, you know, we have some areas for some room for improvement, right? We both have you know, as do many families, right, have a lot of illnesses, high blood pressure, you know, people passing away early. And so we saw that and we said, like, what can we do to kind of change the trajectory that we see in our families? And so we just decided, like, okay, we're going to make our health a priority in our union and our family. We want health to be we want to take a proactive approach. So what can we start doing now today as we start to, you know, create our life together? What can we do today to start living that healthier life? So it really started out as like us on our own health journey. So we started with pescatarianism, like, okay, well, we're just going to cut out the meat. We saw those improvements. Then it moved into, we did do vegetarian for a while. You know, so we've had like the waves with our diet. Then we started like personal development, on the personal development journey, reading different books, Think and Grow Rich, you know, listening to podcasts, doing yoga, meditation, like all of that just started coming afterwards. And then we also started the business somewhere in there as well. And kind of just started off writing blogs, creating videos to not only kind of showcase our own personal journey, but also to hopefully inspire others to also start their own health journey. So that's basically how we got started. And we've been on the journey ever since. It's 2022, so that's what, 6 years. Yeah, been on it for 6 years, on our journey, and it looks a lot different now than it did at the beginning, but I think we're both just committed to that growth, and continuing to see what works for the two of us. But yeah, somewhere in there, I also was like really became very passionate on the physical health side. So the nutrition, the, you know, stress management, the exercise, like really getting into how do you make your body feel physically the best. And so that's where health coaching came in, and, you know, really getting into wanting to work one-on-one with clients on like, how can I help you? I have all this knowledge in my brain from 3 years worth of reading books and listening to podcasts and things like that. Like, how can I use it to help folks? So that's where the health coaching business came from. And so now I work primarily right now one-on-one with clients to try to help them, you know, lose weight, gain their energy, feel amazing. So that was a really long-winded way to answer your question, but I hope that answered it.
It totally did. And I think that is really pivotal and important for entrepreneurs, especially, to have stress management, because things can get hectic, you know, especially if you're still 9 to 5ing while you're trying to CEO. You know, it's just like you got so many balls in the air. You're trying to juggle everything. You're trying to be a high performer on your job so you don't get fired, so you can continue to use that W-2 money to do the other things. And it's like so important to have some type of balance in terms of, you know, managing your stress. I know for myself, if I don't get like at least 8 hours of sleep, I am no good to anybody. It's and you know how like when you don't get enough sleep and you're just cranky, but when you don't get enough sleep, your brain just can't work optimally. And I really loved the breathing exercise that you shared earlier, because lowering your serotonin, that all of those things worked in synergy to keep you well balanced, like a well-oiled machine, I guess. So that's something I'm gonna practice before I go to bed, the deep breathing.
Have you ever heard of box breaths?
I haven't.
So it is honestly when I found this out, I was like, how does everybody not know about this? Like, it works really well for me. So I will give the tool to you, and hopefully it changes your life as well. But basically it is where you breathe deeply for, we'll say 4 seconds. The amount of time you choose is completely up to you. But if you're just starting out, 4 or 5 seconds is a good way to start. But you basically inhale for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you exhale for 4 seconds, and then you hold again. So that's where the name box comes in. But if you do that, I started out doing it for like 3 minutes because I was just like kind of wired up and I'm like, I can't do this for long, right? But now I do it for up to like 20 minutes a day at this point, and I feel amazing afterwards. And it's just very powerful because it triggers what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, which is a fancy way of saying like your body's relaxation center. So it's like a way for you every day to tell your body like, we're safe, we're calm, there's no danger around. It's okay to come out of that like fight or flight mode. And I think to your point on being an entrepreneur and having a 9 to 5, you are pretty much always in that mode because you wake up, you go to work, you deal with the stresses of your 9 to 5, and then you come home and you spend however long, at home. You got to cook dinner, you got to like take care of the family, right? And you have to work on do whatever you need to do for your side hustle, your entrepreneurship journey. So you're pretty much always in that like we got to do something mode.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned at the beginning, the did you know is your body doesn't really know the difference of whether you are being chased by a bear or whether you're going through an escrow on one of your properties, right? All it knows is I'm stressed right now.
Yes.
So it's so important, especially for the entrepreneurs out there, to make sure that you are doing something every single day to calm yourself down, to center yourself, to bring down those cortisol levels. Because I know what I ran into before I quit my job was just, I was like tanked, and I felt it physically. I felt it emotionally. I felt it mentally. Like I was like having emotional breakdowns every other week. And I'm just like, how did I get here? And it was because I was not doing a good job of managing my stress. And so that's been a very huge, focus of mine personally in the last couple months. And I've seen the improvements. I'll say that. So
Yeah.
I think it's so important.
I will neither confirm or deny
That I was a mess,
emotional
a hot mess.
breakdowns. I don't want to. I plead the fifth on that one, Zena. I don't know what she's talking about. But I do want to ask, from your perspective, like when you were building you and your husband were building your real estate empire, but also possibly working, 9 to 5s. What was that management process like for y'all, right? So we had our experience over here, which did end with the queen quitting her job and going full time as an entrepreneur and supporting the brand. But for you all, what does it look like currently, and then maybe what is that goal that you're working towards?
So currently, we both work remote. I'm a software developer, and he's a network engineer, network manager. So we both was
right power couple.
Yeah.
So we both had the luxury, because I do consider it a luxury to be able to work from home. That's sponsored by our companies, because some companies were just so inflexible about people being in seats, and I'm just like, that's such an archaic way of running a business. But I digress. So we were able to really, kind of manage things, pretty well initially, because, you get the first property and you're talking to the lenders, and, they're holding your hand, and, you're walking through the steps and everything. But then we got ambitious and we added Turo onto that. And that was a little bit more physical. Like we actually had to deliver cars to people that was renting them from us. So that meant, putting your meeting on Zoom on your phone so you can listen while you drop the car off to someone else, or, a last minute booking, and my husband run downstairs, could you deliver this car? Cause I got to do a presentation. It's just like, like this excited kind of chaos. Mm-hmm. But we quickly learned that we need to impart more automation and a lot more systems into the day-to-day things that we did. So we worked on that. And because we loved, just the exhilaration of this new thing that we were doing, having real estate, having a Turo business, we it didn't hit until, for both of us, work was starting to get impacted, because again, both high performers at work. My husband, when we first started this, he was like, I'm never leaving my job. I'm gonna be there forever. Now he talks about, we need to retire in 2 years.
Come on, King.
Got the end goal too. I love it.
King.
And that was a huge turning point for me, because he's always been, he always had that mindset, that all of us are get basically born into. You go to college, you get a good job, you stay there until you retire. He had that mindset until we got into these businesses. So then he's like, I can make my whole salary in like one flip. I could, so these things just started to make more and more sense to him, and his mindset changed. But he would tell me at the end of the day, I didn't get anything accomplished at work today because I was doing X, Y, and Z for the business. And I started to get like that too. Just like at the end of the day, because I've been so busy managing my tenants, managing a project at the apartment, just getting contractors to give me bids and stuff like that. You're on the phone a lot, and I'm just like, I need to code this whole application tonight before tomorrow's meeting. So we was creating a pressure for ourselves because we wasn't finding the balance of what I need to take care of for the businesses and what I need to take care of for work. So it's like a ballet that you have to like really, impart like the systems and really, really learn what can be taken care of right now and what can wait. And, everything seems so urgent when you have your first business because it's your baby. It's just like, I got to take care of everything. But then, as time progresses, you learn, I'll take care of that over the weekend. Let me focus on this presentation I have to do for work. Because again, you still need the W-2 to get to the other things that you're trying to do in your business. So you don't want to rock the boat too much. But internally, you're just like, oh, I'm sucking so much right now. I need to get it together.
You said a lot of good stuff here, and hopefully we can have you back to unpack some things. But number one, you said using your W-2 to invest in the other businesses, right? And that's, again, it's a mindset. And the host of the Social Proof podcast, David Chance, he has a similar mindset on, I'm working at the Cheesecake Factory, I'm working for XYZ company, and they are my first investor into my real estate company or into my board game company, into my podcast, right? So looking at it as, okay, I'm going to work this job. That way I'm able to build this business instead of it being a burden. But you said number two, I haven't heard this before. You said excited chaos, which I think is a very accurate representation of, like, I just see like myself being the Tasmanian devil just going around like, I got all these ideas. Right? And it's like, it's like you're just so excited, but at the end of the day, there are no systems in place. You have no order. There's no priorities. You're just seeing all these new opportunities coming in, and you're just doing stuff, being excited. And you need the systems in order to really scale up. One of the systems and I think opportunities you have coming up, I'm not sure if it's done yet, but I know you had a course that you were working on to kind of teach people like, okay, this is how you go through the real estate investment strategy. This is how you go through the process. So instead of being an excited Tasmanian devil like Devon and just looking at all types of properties and calling people, like, go through this system, learn the steps that you should do properly, and then get set up. Can you talk to us about, I don't know if it's ready yet, so if I shouldn't be saying nothing, feel free to rewind. But can you talk about your course and maybe what people can expect from it?
Absolutely. So the course is not ready yet. I know when we first touched base, course, but I've learned so much since our initial conversation that I want to make sure that I'm giving the best and the latest information to people that buy the course so that I'm supporting their endeavors in a way that's really, really helpful for them. But yes, I want to demystify the process because I find, like, even for myself, I was so inundated with information about buying property that I was just like second guessing if I was ever going to do it. The only difference between me and a person that's thinking that way is I was just like, I'm gonna do it. I don't care what happens. I'm just gonna jump out there and do it because I've been holding on to this for so long, and if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it. So I had to give myself a do or die kind of thing. But if I had somebody like me that had gone through the process and I could get a course from them to walk me through every step, that's making it very digestible and not overwhelming, that's the type of product that I wanted to put out. So that's why I didn't rush it, because I was just like, there's so much more information that I want to infuse into this to make it like seamless. Like if I get Zena's course, I'm gonna have my building in the next quarter or at the end of the year. Like I could really help you to make this a tangible thing in your life. So I'm working on it now. I just learned about funnels. And if you know anything about that, you know, it's like a whole nother skill that you learn.
It's a fact. That's a
The funnel of funnels.
right. So make sure y'all follow at Zena Dixon Inc. so that y'all can know when the course is available. My bad, Queen. Do you think?
She must still must shine. No. So speaking of things in the future, right? You got the course that you're working on. It's about to be coming out. What else is exciting for you when you think about like the next 3 to 5 years? You, your husband, your business together. What are you excited for? What excites you the most?
Yeah.
I think the thing that excites me the most is amplifying the message because as a woman, because I follow a lot of males in this space. I don't find a lot of women in this space. There is one that really introduced me to, you know, just thinking differently about real estate, but holistically, I just don't see us. And I've had a lot of people DM me and say, I'm so glad that you're doing this because I follow like all these males that do this, which they're giving out great information. But sometimes as a woman, you want to learn from a woman. We have different ways of how our brain just works. So it's just like having somebody to model after, like, oh, she's a woman, she's done it. You know, we have all these things in common. She's a mother, she's a wife, or, you know, she's just, you know, she's a girlfriend. So I feel like I can trust the things that she's sharing. And, you know, I feel like she can be an advocate for me to get me into that space or mentor me. So that's the biggest thing for me, just amplifying the message. And that's one of the largely why we started the podcast, because we wanted to show people you can have a 9 to 5 and still pursue your dreams. Let us show you how. So me and my co-host, we're both in real estate, but you know, it's just like there's other businesses that's out there. If you're not interested in real estate, we just want you to get something that's going to give you some freedom, some time freedom, some money freedom. Because if you've learned nothing from the pandemic is companies do not care about you. They care about their bottom line. And if you're expendable or if they don't have enough money coming in, they're like, who can we get rid of? And it's always us first, unfortunately. So that's just the goal, to amplify building your own wealth so that you're not dependent on anyone else to take care of you in that respect, because it used to be like that for us. We used to have, our finances in order. We used to hand down businesses and things like that. I was just watching The Gilded Age. I don't know if you guys are familiar. It's on HBO, and there's the Black elite in there, and it's just like just seeing these images of how there was pharmacists back then, and they lived in these big beautiful brownstones in Brooklyn that were like millions of dollars now, in today's age. And it's just like, we had it like that before, so let's get it like that again. And that's the goal. So having events targeted to women that's trying to build businesses, and just mentorships possibly, but just being able to amplify the message that you should be trying to build wealth so you have some type of financial independence, so you're not feeling stressed out about jobs. A lot of people are like, well, I like my job. I like my job too. But that didn't stop me from trying to get passive income, because passive income that's fun. Like, I don't have to exchange time for this money. Sign me up.
Right. I think it's too, like, I think getting to the point where if you like your job, great, you don't have to quit, right? You can do it now for the fun of it and not be worrying about like, I actually need this job to pay my bills. Once you get to the point where you got the passive income, then you can just choose to do whatever you want to do with your time, because money and how you're going to pay your mortgage, how you're going to pay your rent, how you're going to feed your family is not an issue anymore, because you got that mailbox money coming in.
Yeah, shout out to them. There it is. So one more time, in case folks are just tuning in or they didn't hear you at the beginning, can you please just give an introduction of who you are, and in your opinion, what the best way to make $1 million is for a married couple? Hit them.
My name is Zena Dixon, and I am a real estate investor and a software developer. The best way, in my opinion, for a married couple to get to $1 million is for your husband to buy a 4-unit property and for you to buy a 4-unit property. Typically, a 4-unit property is going to be between $300,000 and $500,000. If you have a property, if you both have properties that's worth $500,000, you're now millionaires. Your net worth now is $1 million. And what you want to do is you want to continuously build your portfolio. And the way that you do that is he buys one in his name, you buy one in your name, and then when you guys are married, that's a life event that changes your situation. Then you two can buy a property together. So potentially you could now have $1.5 million as your net worth. So to me, that is like the fastest way to get there. So that, again, this is not liquid, this is net worth, but net worth gives you leverage to do other things. So that would be my advice.
It is. Thank you very
Love it.
much. We appreciate you, Zena. Put you 100% on the spot. Can you come back?
I would love to.
Nice.
Listen, the on the spot works every time, Queen.
Now I have another on the spot question,
Oh,
and this is coming from the kind of the more reserved one. You know, do you think your husband would be willing to join?
Ooh.
Absolutely. He's a little bit more shy, but he totally would do it.
I'm gonna ask as the shy one over here. Let him know as the him in the relationship. We would love to get like the balance of you two and talk about some of the dynamics of your relationship as running the business as well. So that would be a great round 2 for you. I think so.
That would be awesome. I would love it.
Thank you very much. Again, make sure y'all go follow Zena Dixon Inc. on Instagram. We're going to do some quick wrap ups, just going over our amazing road trip a little bit and some updates. Zena, feel free to stick around if you're pressed for time. No pressure.
Hear it.
Beautiful. Queen, updates. What you got for the beautiful people?
So next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, the 23rd, I think, at 5 p.m. 5:30. I made it 5:30. We have our next weight loss master class, and this time we are free. I forgot the F word. Free master class, where we are talking about hormone hacks. How can you hack your hormones to put your body in the best environment to be able to shed that excess weight? Hormones run just about everything in your body. They're like little chemical messengers that tell you, oh, it's time to eat. Oh, it's time to sleep. Yep. They're like little software coders in the background. So they have a very large part in what happens to your body, whether you're in a state where you're going to hold on to your fat, whether you're in a state where you're going to shed that fat, stress, not stress. Like there's a lot of things that go on with your hormones. So we're going to talk about a couple specific hormones and little hacks that you can do, little habits that you can adopt, and, you know, really put your body in that state to where you can shed that weight.
Yes. Where should they go if they want to sign up?
You should go to queen2queencoaching.com/hormone hacks. I believe we have that link available. Jair, if you could flash that. But that is queencoaching.com/hormone hacks. And that is where you can opt in and basically register for the masterclass.
Beautiful. Well done, Queen. While Jair hooks that up, we did go on a lovely road trip this week. We stopped in Vegas. And why did we stop in Vegas?
We stopped in Vegas to watch the Whitney Houston hologram concert, which was amazing. And we wanted to see that one specifically because my man Denzel, one of my oldest friends, he was dancing in the show. I taught him everything I knows. He knows. I just want to throw that in there. But you know, but no, yes, he's dancing in that show. So if you get a chance to go see that at the Harrah's in Las Vegas, one of the Black Kings you see on the stage is Denzel. So go ahead and support him. He's doing amazing things out there.
Oh yeah, well done, Denzel. You did your thing. Shout out to Brandon, Amanda for hosting us, including the beautiful Cosmopolitan hotel room that they gifted us. We appreciate your family.
Yes.
After that, we drove up to Reno to see her brother. Then we went to Sacramento. We went to San Francisco, and then we ended it with a visit to Davis, California, where we went to college. Where we met, where the love was sparked and originally manifested. And we did a workshop with the Black Students of California United, teaching them the history of Black Wall Street, right? Zena was talking about how we had wealth, right? We had businesses, we had hospitals, we had beautiful homes, and we were able to pass it down. But at some point, whether it's from policy, from violence, we've been disconnected to that culture of wealth. And it's up to us, our generation and the generation after us, to reconnect to that history and make sure that we continue to live in that excellence. So I love what you said earlier. But talk to our students about that. And then lastly, 2 quick announcements. One, as you already know, the Black History Adventures of Rose and Rodney, the book, is available on our website. And today, the tickets are live to see the pre-screening of the animated web series. So go to playblackwallstreet.com, hit shop, and look for Rose and Rodney, and you can buy your ticket to the exclusive screening of the animated series. It is our first attempt into animation. I'm too juiced. I'm excited. It's excited, but it's not chaotic. Definitely make sure you buy your ticket and support. And then lastly, we got a lot of announcements today.
In a jam-packed, a lot happening.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. But lastly, if you are interested in starting your own business, if you want support, if you want accountability, you can go to launchitcommunity.com. That's www.launchitcommunity.com to get the brand new 7 Steps to Launch book. This book was created after 3 years of doing research, trial and error of starting and launching our businesses, reading amazing entrepreneurship books, and packing in that knowledge into one amazing resource to help you go through and launch your business. So go to www.launchitcommunity.com to go ahead and purchase your book today. Beautiful. So good. See, I love being back home. It was amazing coming through here. Zena has some amazing energy and nuggets to bring to people. As we depart, any farewell words that you would like to give to the community, Miss Zena?
Just don't get discouraged. A lot of times people will get so much information, or they'll just feel the current situation is just what it's going to be. And at any time you can turn that around. You just have to believe that you can do it and execute on the things that you're trying to do. My thing is fail forward. The quicker that you fail, the quicker you get that lesson and you can apply it to the next thing that you try so that you'll have the success. So that's my tip for you guys. Just don't give up on yourself, and don't talk yourself out of something before you even try it.
Yep.
Love it. Fail forward.
I like that.
Oh, come on, Zena. Yeah, well, as usual, thank y'all for tuning in to the show. We appreciate you. My name is Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game.
I'm Sinclair, aka
the Health Nerd. We hope y'all stay healthy. We hope y'all stay mentally wealthy. And of course, we hope y'all stay true.
Thank you for tuning in to the True Health Forever podcast. We hope you learned something valuable that you can take and implement into your life. Now, we've all heard that sharing is caring, and this podcast is no exception. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, a family member, a coworker, a stranger walking down the street, anybody who you think can level up from this message. As always, we appreciate your support, and we'll talk to you next week. Be well.